Hello and welcome. This is a program that I've just made to determine how much should one bet per game with an edge. How much percent of their bankroll? Should it be very low, like 1%, 2%? Should we go 4, 5, 8, 10, maybe even 20? Well, that's the number range I'm going to use. Is Let's do 20 different individuals who bet the exact same game, but each one bets that percent, 1%, 2, 5. And that's the program that I've made here. What this does is we're going to look at all 20 percentages, 1 through 20, and do 100 random games. We'll ask the user at the start what percentage your long-term edge is, and then we'll see what record you get. We're going to start off with 100 results, and we're going to see a very interesting way on how the math works. I think quick answer is close to 10, but you only want to go over that number. That's what I've been figuring out, but this is the rest of the program. So it's not much that I had to write, but let's get her going. So it says enter percentage chances of winning. Now, if you kick ass, you're going to do very, very well. If you had like a 66% chance of winning and you won 69 games in 31, that's what the result of this did. If you bet 1%, you'd win. Let's start with 1,000, so you'd end up getting 14.1% or 41% of return actually, or 1.41x. And then the numbers keep going higher, 2% up to every single number. I mean, but if you could win at that rate, I mean, you could be a trillionaire so fast. I mean, not trillionaire, but definitely multi-millionaire very fast. Your job now is to try to find people who are actually going to accept your bets if you can win at that rate. No one, I can pretty much confidently say no one's going to win at that number. 65%, you can see you continuously have more of a better result if you were able to win at that. But if you can win at like 61%, and there's 56, sometimes you're not going to hit. And this is the whole point of what I'm going to try to bring up on this is here's a spot where you played 100 games and you were a little unlucky, but you still won because you should have won 61% of the time, but you got 56 wins out of it. And the best your bankroll would have been doing, it looks like, is around 7%. Now, I can't draw a chart on here, but what you're going to always see on these winning performances is that it's going to keep going higher to a perfect number, then it's going to down move. You can see here how you'd be a losing player betting 14% or more per game when you're beating the number. You got to go beat like 52 or 53%. This is designed where you're losing 11 on a loss, you're gaining 10 units on a win, or the minus 110 odds. So if we redo it again at a record of 62 wins, and 38 losses, well, we can see here that it just keeps going up, but we actually have a top at 18. So here you're crushing the number. Crushing the number at 62% wins. Yet if you're crushing your bets, I mean, you're better off. You're not winning as much betting 20% as you were betting like that of like 18%. And you just noticed it would keep going lower in winning causes if you just betting 100% means once you lose, you go 18-1, you lose your 19th game, you lose everything. Of course, keeping doubling down is just stupid. And next thing we can take a look at is 57-43. Let's take a look at a few more of these. I'm going to change the percentage number just so we can see more of these. Because more often than not, if you're very good, you're probably going to win 55, 56% of the time. And well, here we see 9% is the top on this. So let me just do 55.5% of the time you win. So here's 59. Your top on this is like 13%. You win 62 here. The top on here is 18%. 54 and 46. Now you're barely beating. This is where you get really unlucky, I suppose. And the top was at 3%. 5% was still profiting. 6% barely profited, but betting. And you can see how you lose almost everything. If you were to bet 20% of your bankroll go from 1,000 down to 200. When you're winning 54% of your games. Here where you win 56%, it goes down to 486. the top at 1,300. Now what I'm just going to do a few more of these, and you could just take an idea. There's a pretty decent one of what these look like. And then you're like, okay, why did this one be so much worse? Well, so, we don't know what the results are in here because they're not showing it. But you can get streaks that could be so bad that can take your bankroll down, where if you lose 6 out of 7 in a row, and when you lose them early, late can do a different bunch of beneficial different things. Where if you lose early, maybe you get a good rebound where you win 6, 7, 8 in a row, or not, or 12 out of 13. Stuff like that. Here's 55 and 45, and you're only winning if you're betting 9% or less. In this case, you're practically breaking even at 10%. And 49 and 51, you're always going to lose. And look at how much you have if you have 20. You pretty much lose your entire bankroll. So let's have some fun with this. I haven't done this results yet, so I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens if I do 1,000 games. So I'm going to change this from 1 to 1,000. And I'm also going to, just for text purposes, I'm just going to, this is just for screen purposes. I don't need to do it. And let's just do 55%. Oh, look at how the numbers change. Nothing. You mean you lose? Here's where you go 536 and 464 against the number. And you can see once you hit that on that 9, 10, 11, you just pretty much go to nothing. Let's do this again. 538 and 462. I mean, you're only winning if you're doing like 2-3% at this number when you're barely beating the number. 542, you're winning at about 4% of your bankroll. 547, 4%. So let's enter a new one. Let's say you win 57.2% of the time. Comes to 573. So you have 197 units at 20, 2,600 at 1. Right in the middle, you're at 128, 128,000. I mean, look at the big differential here. So if you're that damn good, and you really have to think, if you're going to play the business of trying to beat the minus 110 money line game, that you really want to be at least that good. And you can see in here that, well, in this case here, you would you'd be really crushing it if you were betting 9-10%. Betting 5%, 4%, still doing good. And you see the difference of the 1-2 when you have the micro stakes. That's why I say if you're too tight, you don't win. Scared money, stuff like that. And if you're overly aggressive, and you can see what happens when you bet too much, so you can see the mathematics on it here. 547 and 453. Now if you're betting 10%, you didn't do as well. You barely beat the number, and you're losing half your bankroll. 9%, you're practically even. 8%, you're barely winning. And your best results come at 4 and 5. And when you kill the number, you can crush the game. Now this is where, I mean, how in the heck could you really, I mean, wow. I mean, what kind of streak were you on in this one? Oh, wow. I think maybe you should bet 20% of your entire bankroll when you know you're not kidding. Of course I'm kidding, but wow. 56.8% against the number here. The highest is like 8, 9, pretty much tied. 8%, 9%, 10%, and 7% still damn good. 11 and 6. And then you got like 5 and 12, which are comparable. 4 and 13, and look at, and I can see how the numbers scroll to like nothing when you bet like way too much. So if you ever look at, I mean, one of my thoughts for years in sports gambling is just be extremely picky. I think the best way to kill the game, if you will, destroy the game. Well, of course, understanding bankroll management, how much to put on your game, this is like one step in here, is to be extremely picky but very aggressive in looking, because Sportsbook will put out so many different props, so many different bets, and you just keep on looking over and over at everything that you can, and you want to find something that has only the extreme edges, and you take those only. And then, I mean, you have to really work really hard to get past this 50, like to get to these bigger numbers in here. Here's 596, 59.6%. Now you're destroying the number. Highest number on here is like 14% in this case, and then it starts to go lower on each one. And but when you look at everything, it doesn't always have to be minus 110. It's always just destroying what number you're playing against. If you're playing a minus 200 game, that means if you win 2 of 3 times, you're breaking even long term, which is like 66 point, a whole bunch of sixes. Or we'll say 67%. So you got to win like, what, 74, 75, 76% to play that bet. And if you can do it, do it. If you have to win a bet 37% of the time long term, then take it if you can hit it 44 or 45. Oh, I know I can hit this 45 of 100 times. I'm getting plus 215, and you take the bet. Stuff like that. And then we'll just continue on with some more. But if you're like, say, if you were just crushing this, and the thing about this, if you were doing 61.5%, to get 1,000 bets, you almost have to do this over an entire lifetime almost, and even then, like 30 years, 40 years. Just being really picky. But the whole thing is when they put like, you can be very aggressive in looking at plays when there's all this different sports out there: soccer, baseball, football, hockey, basketball, video games. And then there's knowing how to win the live game events, what edges you can find there. So many different options per game with all the propositions, the sides, the totals, this way, that way. Just being creative with any of your plays as far as you can be as well. But in here, this is where, like, how many zeros is this? 049, 237. So that'd be 8 million. 6, what's this? Like 10 billion or something, starting with 1,000? Not bad. But you know, a casino would kick you out after a while if you were to do that damn good. So what's the whole point of betting that much? Here again, like, if you can crush the number, and I know a lot about what that's like, to crush the number, and then just keep on playing the aggressive bets when I was doing it, not via sports gambling the traditional way, but via daily fantasy and hockey and hockey. I can crush that game at an extreme high ROI. And that when I'm putting these aggressive bets in, I could literally give me a hockey season. I could probably take I did this year, a bankroll of like $10, $20, because that's the lowest I was at when my hockey bankroll was like $20, and I turned it into, when the hockey playoffs alone, I made an average 1 year income. But with that being said, that's because I was literally, I did this type of numbers within this sort of deal, and I was like, oh my goodness, 20% was the number I came up with when I did it. So I had no hesitation in doing 10, 15. Like 10 to 15% of my bankroll when the high times were right. And again, I would just crush the number that way. Okay, thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. So it's just, understanding risk-reward management and doing stuff like this is fun. This is small, basic. If you're interested in things like this, leave stuff in the comments, and I can help you out from there. Take care.